This is Twit.
Well, Bitcoin ATMs are coming to the United States at last. The company that makes the ATMs, called RoboCoin, said today that Bitcoin kiosks will be installed in Seattle and Austin. With us to talk about this is Phil Waba, retail and consumer correspondent for Reuters. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you.
Now, this is not the first time that Bitcoin ATMs or kiosks have been installed around the world. They're just the first time in the U.S. I believe the first one was in Vancouver, Canada. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was opened in October.
Okay, and how's that going for the company that makes this? Do they consider this a successful operation so far?
It's a good test market. In fact, they like what they see in Canada, despite the fact that the Canadian government doesn't recognize Bitcoin as a currency. They're planning to install an ATM in Calgary also in February.
Now, how does this differ from a conventional ATM?
Well, it's, the one of the biggest things is it's sort of bulky like an ATM, but there's a scanner to read government-issued identification, typically driver's license or passport, so that it can confirm a user's identity. And then that will allow people to put in Bitcoin for cash, redeem it, or deposit cash and buy more Bitcoins and transferring funds to or from a virtual wallet on their smartphone. So it's not exactly like an ATM, but it's the same concept.
And what's the advantage of having something like this in a public space as opposed to just processing Bitcoin the normal way?
Well, it's physical. It allows them to use physical cash. But I think the reason a lot of people have taken note of this is that it's just another step, and a pretty big one, into the mainstream for this new digital currency. I mean, 2 ATMs in a country of the size is not really a big deal, but if it's the beginning of an outlay of ATMs, then that really signals that this is going mainstream.
I'm curious about where these things are typically installed. I mean, the one in Vancouver, and there are a couple in Europe. I believe one is going up in China somewhere. Are they at stadiums, malls? Where do they typically install these things?
The one in Vancouver was installed in a coffee shop, and the reason they chose Seattle and Austin, I was told yesterday by a spokeswoman, is that those two cities are considered to be avant-garde and a bit more adventurous, and they just thought that they would make good fits. It's a large country, but those two cities are seen as tech hubs and places where people are a bit more adventurous.
And they drink a lot of coffee, especially in Seattle. So this company, RoboCoin, is based in Las Vegas, as I understand it. Are they planning to put this into casinos and have a sort of gambling? Will you soon be able to gamble with Bitcoin, as if using Bitcoin isn't already a little bit of a gamble?
Well, it's funny you say that because, the Bitcoin, when I last checked, was around 636. In September, it was 150. In December, it was at $1,000. So, it certainly fluctuates more than a currency, and so I guess, it is a bit risky like gambling, but it's not going to be for casinos. They just have to be based in Las Vegas. They haven't really laid out their, or anyway expressed their plans for the rest of the U.S., but they are planning to start installing some ATMs in Asia and Europe, and I think the idea is just to sort of plant this idea in people's minds, and then roll them out further based on how people react to them.
Well, thank you for joining us today to talk about this. This is a really interesting development.
Thank you very much.
You can find Phil Waba on Twitter at Phil Waba. So that's spelled Philwahba.